I had so many misconceptions about Anna Karenina before actually reading the novel for myself. So if you have ever avoided this novel because you thought it would be too difficult, you thought that maybe you just do not want to read a book about adultery, that's just not something that sounds good to you, you don't want to glorify anything of the sort, I hope that this review and my thoughts help you overcome that and encourage you to give this great novel a try. Because it was worth the time and effort to read it, I will say. Hello friends, and welcome to my channel. My name is Haley and I am a Christian wife, homeschooling mother of 3, out to redeem my very own literary education, which means I'm just reading a ton of the great classics that I never read in high school or in university, just for fun. I don't have an English degree or a literature degree, but going on this homeschool journey has just made me love classic literature. So I'm giving all of the greats a try. And one of the greats is, of course, Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy, which has been called the greatest novel of all time. And I've always avoided this because I just thought I don't want to read a book about adultery, because obviously I don't condone that as a Christian, and I don't want to read anything that glorifies that. I don't want to read a book from that kind of woman's point of view, because I thought Anna Karenina would be just following Anna Karenina and her point of view and why she did this affair, and I thought it would justify it somehow. That's just really not at all what this book is about. I would not say that Anna Karenina is about adultery. I would say that Anna Karenina is about marriage and love. And it doesn't even only follow Anna Karenina. There is a whole cast of characters that Tolstoy shows all of their different perspectives of. And you don't even meet Anna Karenina in the first several chapters. So most of what I thought about Anna Karenina was just wrong. Yes, adultery does happen, but alongside of Anna Karenina, there is also this character of Konstantin Levan. I would say that those two characters are kind of the main focus of the novel, although we do follow several other characters' perspectives as well. But we have Anna Karenina, who of course does actually commit adultery and have an affair, but it's not so black and white. You actually see her in her thoughts in this novel wrestle with that decision, feel shame about that decision, and kind of it's her pride that makes her justify it and embrace it, but really on the inside she's just kind of tormented by destroying her life, and yet there's just no going back. So the way that adultery and the affair was presented in this novel was in no way in a glorifying light at all, which I loved, because at the same time, while you may feel pity for Anna Karenina in the fact that she messed up and she's suffering, you also still don't feel pity for her because she is willingly and mindfully making all of these decisions. What I loved about this novel was Tolstoy's writing. He was able to just really get into the minds of his characters and express their thoughts as they're going through all of these just life circumstances in love. So alongside Anna Karenina, you have this other character of Konstantin Levan, who is in many ways just a total opposite of her, where she is kind of this beautiful, charming woman of the world. He is this strong man who, yes, is kind of a part of the gentility, if you will. He just doesn't really care much for the world. He prefers to live a country life. He hates going into the city and being around politicians. He doesn't like worldly women, if you will. Just kind of has this sense of morals, but also great intellect. And while Anna Karenina is kind of making all of these decisions that bring her down morally, Konstantin Levan is kind of pursuing things that bring him up morally. So he pursues a actual marriage. Where Anna Karenina's marriage is failing, Levan is starting in a new marriage and working through all of the hardships of that. This book did not leave out the hardships of even a really good and loving marriage. The characters still battled jealousy and anger and just very normal human emotions, but also an immense amount of love. And he is also on a spiritual journey. I was not expecting Anna Karenina to be a spiritual or faith-based, faith-themed kind of book at all, but it really is. Even Anna Karenina, on the sinful side of things, knows that she is wrestling with a spirit of lies. They just kind of pour out of her mouth without her even realizing it, but her inner thoughts are kind of like, oh, what am I doing? She feels that wrestling of spirit and flesh. And Konstantin Levan is kind of this intellectual man of reason who goes on a spiritual journey with faith, because his wife is a believer, but he is more of an agnostic. And I will say this whole book was worth it just for the ending spiritual passages at the very end of the book. They were just so lovely and beautiful. The ending for both Levan and Anna Karenina was completely unexpected. If you know the end of Anna Karenina already, then you know it's shocking. I didn't know that going into the novel. I wasn't expecting that ending, and so it did surprise me, and I was glad that I didn't know what that was going in. So I wouldn't say that that was fun, but it was just like, wow, that's a real depiction of a soul in turmoil, and just interesting. I just think it was really worth it, and I say that because it took me more than 6 months to read it. I started this book in February, and it is now August. This was almost the only book I finished in August because I just wanted to get through it. It's taken me forever, and it's not because the book is bad. It is really good, but I would say that it's just kind of slow paced. It's more just true to life. When I first started the novel, I was hooked, and the first probably part 1 and part 2, it's broken up in this particular Everyman's Library edition into 8 different parts. And those 8 parts have about 30-ish, 32 chapters per part. And the chapters are incredibly short, so you can feel like you can really churn through the novel when things are more fast-paced. But then in the middle, it gets really kind of slow. Tolstoy dives into a lot of topics about class and politics and agriculture in this time in Russia. And not living in that time, those parts kind of got a little bit boring, but at the same time, I could see what he was doing there. Sort of his character of Levan is the character who really dealt with those types of topics of agriculture and politics and class. And he kind of has all of these ideals about how those should be, but that's really hard to implement in real life. And so Tolstoy just gave some really funny pictures that, yes, maybe things should be this certain way, but when you're dealing with a bunch of other sinners, it just doesn't happen that way. So I get the point, but it did make the novel really, really slow in the middle. And then in the end, it kind of picked back up for me, and I was able to finish it. And so it took me about 6 months, February to August or so, but it was worth it. I was reading other books while I read this so that I wouldn't go into a reading slump, just doing a little bit at a time. And I would advise that because this novel is almost 1,000 pages long, not quite, but almost. And this particular translation done by Everyman's Library was wonderful and so easy to read. I liked that it had footnotes for all of the French, because apparently the Russian gentility would use a lot of French, and so the characters would have those phrases, but this particular edition in the footnotes would tell you what the French phrases were in English, and that was really helpful. There wasn't a ton, but there was enough that if you didn't have those footnotes, it would be probably a little bit annoying trying to figure out what they were saying. But this edition, this translation was really easy. It read like a modern novel and was really, really well done. And so I wasn't expecting that. I thought that it would be a difficult read, but it wasn't at all. It was just kind of a slow-paced read, because Tolstoy deals with all of those topics, like I said, about love and marriage, and then agriculture and politics and class, and also with faith, which as a Christian, I absolutely loved watching Levan wrestle with the idea of faith and the conclusion that he finally came to. I won't read some of the passages out of here, but they were just the most beautiful. To see an intellectual man kind of come to that, it was wonderful, and I really loved it. But I also loved a lot of the side characters in this book. So Kitty, who is Levan's wife, was really fun to read about. She's just a regular wife, and there were some points in here about sort of the roles of womanhood. So kind of when she is aiding someone in their death, she kind of just shines and comes alive, and Levan really needed her for that. And it's just one of the really virtues of a gentle and quiet spirit being there in that kind of situation. And then the passages about her pregnancy and birth were just raw and real and beautiful, and I loved them. But I also loved her sister, Dolly, who is Anna Karenina's sister-in-law, but also Kitty's sister. That is how all of these characters are connected. Oblonsky, who is Dolly's husband. Dolly is Kitty's sister. Kitty is married to Levan. And then you have Anna Karenina, who is Oblonsky's sister and Dolly's sister-in-law. Oblonsky is also having an affair on his wife. So the brother-sister duo of Oblonsky and Anna Karenina, there's just something going on in that family apparently. But Dolly is already matured in her marriage, in her motherhood. And to see her walk through those things, I just really felt for her. But she's just such a strong mother who is still just committed to her children and trying to make this work with her husband. It was very powerful to read for her. You felt terrible for her. But then I also didn't enjoy reading the perspective of Vronsky. And you'll know why if you read it. I just won't tell you, but I just really kind of hated his character and his arrogance, and I just struggled with it. But I thought Tolstoy did a really great picture of all of these different characters and these different types. I loved it. It was worth it. It took me forever to read it. I almost DNF'd it working through the middle parts of the book. I just didn't think I could get through that slow of a pace. But I'm glad I stuck with it, and it's worth it. And I would say that I would read this novel in the winter. It really felt like a winter novel, which is why I started it in February. I thought that I would finish it in February or March when it was still kind of cold. There's just something about the snow and the Russian trains, and just feels wintry. There's also some spring and summer scenes in here, but as a whole, I think it's a great winter novel. So I think it's one that you should put on your TBR for maybe November so that you can read it throughout the winter time. That is probably what I would suggest if you want to give this novel a try, but it was absolutely worth it, and I cannot recommend it enough. I wouldn't say that it's maybe one of my favorites of all time, but I would read it again. And I know this one pops up on the Ambleside online curriculum list for in the high school years, so I'll be rereading this with my children when they make it that far in their education. And I think it is one that a child should read maybe in their high school years before they get married and before they're ready for marriage, because that's really the topic of this, and it just does such a great job of depicting all types of marriages. And I loved it. So if you have read Anna Karenina, please let me know in the comments below what you thought of it. If you haven't read Anna Karenina, please let me know if you are going to give it a try. And let me know what you think I should read next. I do want to give War and Peace a try by Leo Tolstoy, but I know it's like one of the longest books of all time. It would probably take me an entire year to read it. But after reading this, I would love to read it just for his writing. His ability to get into the mind of people and read what their thoughts are, even if their actions are different on the outside, is incredible. He's a great understanding of humans and the way that we think and live. So please let me know what great classics you think I should give a try, and let me know what you think of Anna Karenina and if you're going to give it a try. And Lord willing, I will see y'all next time. Happy reading, friends!